We're going to talk about sustainable partnerships for a sustainable industry. And Simone Joyce, President, New Yorker from FinTech Australia, is going to moderate this panel. I think you all know Simone, of course, CEO and global CEO and co-founder of Paper Plane. She doesn't need any introduction because she's just amazing and famous and does a great job. It's so great to have you back here in Australia for the time being. Please give her a hand as she comes to the stage. Then, joining her for this discussion, we have Ethan Tees, the EGM of Payments at CBA, of course, the Commonwealth Bank, where the responsibility is for domestic and international accounts-based payments. In addition to his product responsibilities, Ethan leads teams supporting the bank's group-wide payment strategy, industry representation and advocacy. He also serves on the board of Swift, AP Plus, an Australian-based payments fintech, Paper Plane. You can see a link there. And is an advisor to Centrelink, a San Francisco-based fintech focused on combating identity fraud. That would be a pretty busy job. All right, Ethan, please come to the stage. Now, we were talking about amazing companies a little bit earlier. Justin Greenstein is the CEO of 1835i Ventures, ANZ Bank's external venture capital and innovation partner. Over the past 20 years, Justin, a qualified chartered accountant, has worked across financial services and consulting, holding roles with Macquarie Bank, Ernst & Young and ANZ. And Marnie, where's Marnie? Oh, there she is, over there. We were talking about amazing executives, amazing women in fintech. Marnie, of course, is the CEO and MD of Bendigo and Adelaide Bank. She joined the bank in 1989. Gosh, so long ago, I was still writing cheques. Has held several executive roles, including Chief Information Officer, Group Treasurer and Chief Customer Officer. She knows it inside and out, has a special interest in technology, establishing the successful fintech partnerships with Ferocia and TikTok. Please give Marnie a big hand. Simone, over to you. Have a great discussion, guys.
Simon, there we go. It works. Don't worry. You're good. Carry on. Wow, what a hard act to follow that last session was, but we're going to bring our focus back in to some successful partnerships and discussion about why partnerships are important. When we use the word sustainable in this sense, obviously the environmental sustainability of partnerships and operations is critically important. But today, we're going to talk about how partnerships between a bank and a fintech can actually create a sustainable ecosystem and industry for everyone involved: banks, fintechs, businesses and consumers. And I'm very pleased to be joined with some people who can comment with authority on this subject on stage. So, a few years ago, back in the wild old days of 2017 and 2018, there was a lot of rhetoric about banks partnering with fintechs, and then the wheels coming off and the fintech being left a shell and the bank, moving on and into the sunset while the fintech dissolved into dust. But over the last 5 and 6 years, we've seen that change. And in fact, the EY FinTech census that we do every year has shown incrementally each year the attitude of fintechs towards banks is not competition, it's actually seeking partnerships. And there's different ways that those partnerships can play out. But what I want to know is, from a fintech's perspective, it's pretty obvious why you want to partner with the bank. Resources, access to customers, stability, potential exit plans. Why is it important to banks? I might start with you, Marnie.
I might need a microphone. It just makes sense to me, and we've had a long history, and it is lovely to actually see so many familiar faces in the audience today. I wasn't able to get here last year, but was here I think it was the year before, so it's lovely to see people again. Fintechs bring a unique view and perspective on customer, which I think is really important. And whilst the fintech industry has really evolved, I'll talk about it more so perhaps in the early days, was thinking about, in a vertical sense, honing in on a specific part of a customer experience or a customer journey, reimagining it and doing it really, really well. Had the agility, the nimbleness to be able to move really quickly and bring insights, skills, and very different skills than what you would find in a legacy bank, you know, and a different type of conversation to an organisation. And we, as you know, we've partnered with Ferocia. We had Dom up here before, a long association with Ferocia that goes back, I think, 12 or 13 years now, and more recently we joined forces in a sense of actually coming closer together. But also TikTok, I know Anthony Baum's probably in the audience here as well. We've had a nice, I think it's probably about 7 years now with TikTok, so our relationships are very deep and go back a long way, and are complementary, I think, to each other. So I've never thought, and I know you did say that there seemed to be oil and water with banks and fintechs. I never saw that in the relationships that we had over our time. I just thought they were great accelerators and a great opportunity to really hone in and really improve the customer experience and lift the bar for everyone, including legacy banks.
Marnie, you're an excellent operator, but you're also in a very privileged position of being able to make some executive choices at a banking level. Ethan, how important is understanding where a bank is sitting as far as who's making decisions? What are some of the successful attributes of guiding that relationship through when it's not a fabulous person sitting on the other end going, this is really important, this is critically strategic to us, this is why it's important? How can a fintech navigate that forest?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I just want to build on Amani here really quickly. Like, work in a bank for a little bit and you'll understand immediately the benefits of partnering broadly and partnering with fintech. So in terms of navigating the bank, I think there's two things. One is for a relationship, I only think about two words. I think about trust and I think about understanding. And both of those have to be mutual with a fintech bank partnership. And Simone and I partner, and I think, like, not every day has been incredible and amazing and lollipops and puppy dogs, but there is real mutual trust, mutual understanding, and transparency. That's really critical as a foundation. But how do you get there? I think, like, as you navigate the organization, we think about champions and sponsors. So sponsor is someone who can make it happen, and a champion is someone who's going to get you there, right? And I think a lot of folks, when they look to partner, they might see the opportunity and they might go, I could really work with that institution, but they might focus only on the sponsor and not be able to cut through, or only on the champions and run into walls. So you've really got to get both. So if you get a champion, ask them to help you find the sponsor. Make sure you have sponsorship, and vice versa. You need a champion and a sponsor.
Sponsor is like the key cheat word to take away from this if you're looking to partner with a bank, it would seem. Okay, so let's just say we've started the conversation. I've come up to you today, or you, Marnie. We could do this for real if you like. Marnie, I'd really like to partner with Bendigo. How do you get through the buy-in? Is it a case of looking for that sponsor first, or should you come in through an innovation or investment vehicle? And Justin, this would be a good one for you to comment on. How efficient and how important do you think are those models that sort of sit separately but are feeding into the bank?
Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about our experience, and also just coming back to the first question, why partnering with fintechs and startups are really, really important for us. So first of all, I think when we look at the broad startup fintech ecosystem, we see two things. We see people that have got a very, very, very deep conviction and passion about a problem that they've thought deeply about, and they've just thought very differently on how to solve it, not being in a big corporate like ANZ, for example. So that's very, very powerful for us. And we also see the culture of these companies as being incredibly, incredibly powerful. If you've got a partner that's got a really, really innovative culture and a hunger to do things and a passion that a big sort of business unit can't do, that just brings immediate value. So that's why we put a lot of value on 1835I and finding partners for ANZ. In terms of structure, I think the minute you're in a big organization, trying to match those cultures is challenging when you've got, sort of a fixed policy environment, a fixed sort of human resources type of, culture framework, one size fits all sometimes. So we started our journey in ANZ. We're a business called ANZI, and we had an investment arm and we had an incubation arm where we thought of ideas and we tried to bring entrepreneurs in residence in to come and solve those, solve the problems that we had identified with ideas that we had. But putting people into the big corporate environment, even in a different business unit on a different floor that feels different, doesn't actually change the culture. So we spun out 2 years ago into a company called 1835i. We independent of ANZ, but ANZ is our sole investor and customer, so to speak. And ANZ did this because they are incredibly passionate about finding good partners that are going to help solve problems that they care about, or sort of come up with new innovative opportunities that we haven't thought about. But we understood that to do that and attract those people with that different culture and that different mindset and that different perspective, we needed to look and feel different, but also operate very differently. So we operate in a different policy environment. We have different procurement processes and all of those good things to take some of the initial friction out. But we also understand that to enable successful partnerships, we have to be broadly aligned on what ANZ's strategy is and some of the problems that they care about, and make sure that we've got a really good strategic case with the partner to bring back to the bank to really validate it up front. So what we do is, being outside and having a lab construct, we're able to run early proof of concepts, early sort of integration exercises between the partners and the bank, and really validate that the hypotheses we've got and the capabilities that the partner have got are true. And then by the time we get into the influence and the decision maker in the bank, we've removed a lot of the friction. So we have a lot more conviction that the product and the technology and all of those things are real. And we've also got conviction that the culture that we've perceived in those founder-led companies are actually aligned to, the sort of cultural attributes that we're looking for at the bank.
Can I just pick at that point a little bit? I think that once you get to a point where you want to go, okay, this is right for us, this partnership is right for us, there are certain questions that a fintech thinking deeply about this needs to have asked themselves and needs to have really thought about the implications of that. In Australia, we've got a really highly regulated banking environment, and we have a regulator that is opinionated on the type of partnerships that banks should be creating with vendors that will have a material impact on the bank. That's good. What sort of questions do you think companies should be asking for themselves if they've come through this process? We've got a values alignment, we've got a strategic alignment. What do you want to see the fintech has considered, Marnie, before this comes to you on your desk?
I think this is really interesting because I think about these sort of partnerships like personal relationships. And Simone, you asked, before about how do we sort of connect. The dating part is really easy. You think you go out to a nightclub, you meet a whole heap of different people. No, but that dating, you will date different people because different things will attract you about different people. But once you get deeper and you start asking deeper questions, is when that real attraction starts to sort of grow. And it is about thinking about, well, what are your aspirations? Where do you want to see yourself in 5 years' time? What are the things that drive you? Which does go to culture and it goes to, longevity, I think, of a relationship. And then you'll go, well, this is the type of person that I want to be married to. And then the hard work starts, because a marriage is never easy, because you realise you're bringing two personalities together. And we all do it, where you try and change the other personality to be more like yourself. So we always have to keep reminding ourselves about what attracted us to that person to start with. And it's actually not about changing that person, but actually getting the best out of both parties. So I do think about it very much like that personal relationship, and I know times when I've I've sat on different panels and I've sat on them with the likes of Dom or Anthony, etc. We have joked about the 7-year itch. Once Ferocious and ourselves got to that 7 years, you have those sort of pains that you might get in a relationship as well. But being open, honest with each other, not trying to change, giving someone space to be themselves. It's exactly the same when you're bringing two types of organisations together that are of a different personality and space. And I agree with you, Justin, there, giving, someone with a personality like that or a FinTech the space to actually do what it is really good at doing.
Ethan, do you think that a partnership in Australia between a bank and a FinTech is going to come more from a place of having a compliance gap to fill? The bank needs to do a thing to appease a particular mandate, or is it coming from a product perspective? We want to do this really cool thing and we want to get there really quickly. What's the better motivator there for a partnership to kick off?
Yeah, I mean, the impetus can be either. I mean, I think the nice thing about compliance partnerships is everyone's got to do it, and so there's a natural, kind of ecosystem that can grow up around that. But the level of integration is really intense, and the individual companies will have different views that might block that as you kind of get on a little bit longer. The product and customer partnerships are the most exciting ones, particularly for CBA. We look at our customers first, and then we try to work backwards and say, okay, how are we going to help the customers? And in many cases, partners are part of that, as well as like X15, when we think about kind of our build, invest, and buy mandate there at an earlier stage. So we do that in the core, we do that in X15, and the product end of things and the customer end of things, most importantly, I think is much more exciting, but both can be incredibly fruitful.
And sorry, Simone, and being really clear about, we use language very easily around partnerships and so forth, and partnership, vendor, etc. You can use other forms of language, and they're all okay, and they all have a purpose. But a partnership is very different to a vendor relationship. A partnership is true shared value. Both parties are getting value from that relationship or that partnership, as opposed to a transaction, which is other reasons why you'll have vendors, and there's reasons why you'd have partners.
Last question before I ask the last question, Justin. In your experience, how important is investment in a partnership to create that sustainable future? Is it critical or is it an optional thing?
So I'll talk about the way we think about this.
We've got 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'll talk about the way we think about this and look at it. So from our perspective, we are looking for strategic partners that can really help ANZ deliver better customer outcomes, which will hopefully attract new customers, more loyal customers. That's sort of our broad thesis. So we look for the partnership first, but we understand that if we find a good partner that is willing and able to do the compliance and the regulatory and the processes that will eventually come as part of being in that relationship, the companies are going to need capital to support that. So we can't say, well, hey, you've raised capital because you've got this global sort of vision that's world leading, and just sort of be part of it and say, but hey, you've got this really important partnership. We have to really viscerally support those companies, and that will come with capital. So I think 5 years ago, we probably almost started on let's invest and let's find the partnership, whereas now we're very focused on let's find the good partner and invest to support them and ensure they're healthy.
Okay, last question. We've got 10 seconds each to answer before Simon kicks us off stage. If you were running a FinTech, would you be looking to partner with a bank, or would you be going go to market in a different way, and why? Ethan, do you want to kick off and we'll come back this way?
Yeah, I would absolutely look at partnership. I mean, the banks have the environment now is very customer-centric. and there's opportunity on both sides. So I would look to the banks to partner. They've got the need, the customers, and the ability to bring things to market. And if you've got the ideas, that's a great place to be.
I think it's very obvious because I'm a bank that I'd say yes, but I'll take it actually broader than that. Great thing about fintechs that I've seen and the evolution of that over the years is started very vertical. What we're actually now seeing is fintechs partnering with other fintechs. Fantastic.
Yes, if there is visceral strategic alignment between both parties, so you both have to understand exactly what the strategic objective is and be absolutely aligned in executing on that.
Excellent. I think we hit time or just over, so thank you all very much. Enjoy the last day of Intersekt. We'll see you all soon.